Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is now open for questions. If you have any questions or comments, please press the number 1 followed by 4 on your touch-tone phone at this time. Pressing 1, 4 a second time will remove you from the queue should your question be answered. Lastly, we ask that while posing your question, you please pick up your handset if listening on speakerphone for optimum sound quality. Once again, to ask a question, please press 1, 4 now. Let's hold while we poll for questions. Our first question is coming from David Altshuler. Your line is live.
Yeah, gentlemen, I share your frustration, Jerry. It's been a long haul. I've been a shareholder since 1993, and I still have faith more so than ever in what you guys are trying to accomplish. The second product that we've been talking about, you said it was launched in April. Could you address the idea of what kind of sales or orders you've had since then, and where do you see that going?
The honest answer is the sales are small to date, okay, and they are picking up monthly, and we will expect that to continue. I mean, what the ultimate level is frankly unclear at this point.
Yeah, it's only the first couple of months of sales, David. I mean, we think it's a good product, clearly, and will be a good product, but it's going to take a little time to fill it out, as with all products.
Yeah, typically in the generic industry, where you have a number of existing competitors, and that's the case with phentermine, you don't get the sort of inventory selling that you get when you just launch a product. You basically have, the volumes tend to build month over month, and that's what's happening here.
Okay. The write-off that you took on the raw materials for low drain, if ECR is successful in getting that back on the market, does that write-off get reversed and become a viable asset again?
It really depends on the timing, because these materials have expiration dates.
The other question I have is, you've in the last few months signed on quite a few new products. How many products can you actually handle at any one time? What's the process in terms of manufacturing, of changing over the manufacturing line or production line every time you need to set up for a new product?
Well, this is a typical things that are done in pharmaceutical manufacturing. It's not that difficult. It's a cleaning process if you're using the same equipment, but it's not a big issue. Doing multiple products in the number of suites we have. Of course, having the expansion will make it even easier for us, and will allow us to grow where we might have, been more difficult in the initial space we had. But that's a fairly easy thing, David, to deal with.
And my last question has to do with the tax loss carry forward. I noticed that the shareholder deficit is $114 million. Does that mean that for many years to come, if we become highly profitable, we'll pay no taxes, or was some of that tax loss carry forward sold off at the time when the states were allowed you to do that?
Well, there's two losses, David. There's the federal loss and there's the state loss. The federal loss is still intact, so your assumption is correct. We have a long way to go to use up that NOL. The state tax losses have been partially sold. Even in this past fiscal year, we sold around $300,000 worth of tax losses, which are reflected in our financials. So it's not as much as the federal NOL carry forward, but that's still a substantial amount, because while they have been sold, they haven't been sold in full.
I want to add that in some ways, it can always be said that there's a silver lining to the low drain situation. You can never say something like that, because the volume of low drain manufacture had gotten to the point where he was consuming most of the equipment's time, making it problematic as to when we could find time on the equipment to develop new products and or manufacture other products. Obviously, that situation has been resolved.
It sounds like it. Just one more last comment. Jerry, you're talking about politically how all this works out. What was think that they would be in favor of the types of products that we're developing because we're talking about lower cost than some of the brand name products, and with the Medicare and Medicaid programs having funding is coming up, you would think that they would want us to develop these products.
It's one thing, I've been around long enough to know is that, the president says one thing, but the bureaucracy has their own agenda, which may or may not be in line with what the president says.
Thanks, Steve. Answered my questions. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, the floor remains open for questions. Should you have a question or comment, please press 1 followed by 4 on your touch-tone phone. Our next question is coming from Stephen Ness. Sir, your line is live.
Hello?
Hello. Hello, Mr. Ness.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, do you want to move on to the next one?
Maybe we answer this question.
Yeah.
Our next question is coming from Danny Gross. Sir, your line is live.
Hi, guys. I got a few questions that haven't been answered. Most of mine have been. A big question of mine, and I emailed Diane and CC'd it to Chris yesterday, but this was, I think, probably too late, but I noticed on the 10K, is I thought the report and then today's statement was very, for Diane, the way she wrote it, was very pessimistic. I thought that it stated too much on the load drain as and making it sound like we have no other sources of revenue, which we do. We have the new deal with Micah. We have the Fenterman, and in this statement today for the 10K, it says all of our revenue was cut off. Basically, this is what it would say to, if somebody was new to the company and just looking at this, they would think all of our revenue's cut off because the load drain's gone. And it states nothing about we have this Benjamin to make up for it. We have this Micah deal. We have this Farmer Network deal. It doesn't say anything about that. And I think we need to concentrate when we do these PRs on being optimistic about what we have and not what we don't have.
Well, just recognize, because I was an analyst for 25 years, official SEC documents are by definition negative disclosure documents. You put everything in there that you think could possibly go wrong, and you do that so that some lawyer doesn't come by, later and say, "Oh, gee, you didn't tell people that might possibly happen," and that's why it's done.
Well, I'm talking about the statement today, the 10K statement, the reporting statement that was put out, the PR today. PR mentions nothing about Fenterman or any other products that we have to make up for the load drain.
I thought it did, but clearly, it's not just the Fenterman too. It's also the contract manufacturer of methadone, of phendimetrazine, of isradipine. So there clearly are things that will replace some of this revenue. In the longer run, there's a lot more things that'll replace.
And just so everybody's aware, phendimetrazine and methadone in particular, we would expect there would be meaningful products, at least in terms to Elite. Okay, so it's not like we're going from $4+ million to zero overnight. And you're correcting that. That's not what's happening.
But what we had said is accurate, which is that the load drain was 97%, or up to 2011 fiscal year.
2011, it was 97% of revenues. Even if, going forward, if load drain was continued to be manufactured, it wasn't going to be 97% of revenues in fiscal 2012 because other revenue sources would have been there, and they will be there.
Yeah, percentage-wise, load drain would have gone down, but dollar-wise, load drain would have gone up, and it would have certainly still been our largest product.
And then about the, we've been getting the same. I've been with the company for 2 years, and hearing the same thing about working on a European market and working on LA 154. Now, if we've been working on for 2 years, something has got to been getting done and produced. clinical trials are either getting done and you guys are just not mention them because the patent hasn't been finalized or something. Can you clarify any more about 154 and European partner and stuff with us?
And we're not going to say this agreement until there's a written agreement. Okay. And recognizing that Europe works slower than the U.S. if it's possible. Anyway, we have been talking to the same partner for a considerable amount of time, which tells you that the interest is genuine. It is there. The discussions go deeper and deeper. I mean, we can tell you that because that's the truth. There is no signed agreement at the moment. When there is, we'll certainly let you know. But it's not like we're not getting anywhere.
What are we doing to increase the production of the 154? I mean, what have we done to further our research on it or further ourselves with it?
The next steps for this product are clinical trials, and as we've said before, we're going to enter that with a partner, just like ELI 260 in the U.S. went, or with a partner. So we're looking for a partner, Danny. That's what we're doing.
Okay, and then last question is, let's see here. What is an alternate, because I feel like we're kind of stumped if we have certain questions, and some of us, don't, some of us meet on certain situations with Diane, and some of us don't. So is there an alternate email that we can contact? And I understand you guys are busy and maybe can't get back to us in the next day or so. But an alternate email, if we're not satisfied with the answer we get from Diane, is there one alternate email that we can use and feel like we have a second contact with you guys?
Well, if Diane, basically the way it works now is if Diane doesn't know the answer to the question, or it does, you're seeking additional information, she will send it generally to Chris and to me for our feedback.
What if we just, like I said, want a different opinion on something or something like that, And like I said, I agree with a lot of stuff with Diane, but sometimes we've butt heads on certain things that we agree on, when it comes to marketing and ways of doing, writing PRs and stuff like that. So what if we want another contact? Is there another email that we can write our suggestions or our requests or questions to?
The reality, Danny, is we're a small company. We're 17 people. Diane is the IR person, and we have to function in that fashion to have things work here. And I think Diane does a great job. I think she answers everybody's questions. And like Jerry said, I do think if there's something she can't answer, she'll come to us for that. And I think we have to rely on that, Danny.
I was just kind of sent the email about noticing ahead of time about making sure to mention the Fenterman and the other income sources, because we noticed that on 10K yesterday, and PR popped up today and didn't mention any other forms of income, so it looked pretty bad today the way it was written. So it was exactly like I hoped it wasn't written. So I'm a little bit bothersome from that today, but I'll get over it.
Okay, thanks, Dave.